I myself, the producer of this podcast, is not eligible to diagnose anyone with a mental health disorder. This podcast is purely for artists discussing the mental health hurdles they struggle with on a daily basis. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of the Where Is My Mind podcast, a podcast dedicated to artists talking about mental health. This episode I'm extremely excited for, especially because of the guest who's on it. I've known him about 3 years now. We work at the same company. When I kind of came up with this concept for this podcast, he was one of the first people I really thought of because of just how genuine and real this guy is. But today on the show, we have the wonderful Felix Reyes. We're going to be discussing the effects artists have while working a 9-to-5 job. Him and I are both freelance artists, and we also work together in a very creative field. Felix is a multifaceted creative whose skills range from digital design to sound design. Born in New York and raised in northern New Jersey, Felix started his artistic journey like most, from drawing characters from Dragon Ball Z and famous comic book characters to being a lover of letter form and type with the graffiti and street art that surrounded him. At a crossroads in high school, Felix decided to pursue the only constant in his life, art. So without further ado, let's hop right in and listen to Felix and I discuss what it's like to work 9-to-5 as a full-time artist. We hope you enjoy. All right, man. What's up?
Not a damn thing.
I've been actually looking forward to this episode specifically. I don't know why. Probably because everyone I know everyone from like a film standpoint for like the other ones, and you're a completely different artist in the sense of musician. Would you say graphic designer or just designer?
Graphic designer, digital designer.
Digital designer. We met at our job. We both work at the same job. How long have you been there?
5 years officially. I got the plaque and everything to tell me.
The plaque,
my tombstone.
Here lays every creativity. No, and I this past February I've been here 3. So
sheesh.
Yeah, it feels like I just started, but it's been 3. So first off, do you go to have you gone to therapy? Are you in therapy now?
So I've been thinking about going to therapy. I'll start there. So I've actually have gone to therapy, but it wasn't my therapy. So I used to be with someone. She had anger issues, and the therapist was like, "Hey, why don't you come in to the room for a little while?" And then it just became like why she hated me so much.
Jesus.
But I'm still open. I'm still open to therapy for sure.
Did you ever go as a kid?
No. I probably should have, but no.
Is there are your parents open to the thought of therapy? Or like was that it probably, or
I don't think they were like in the past, but definitely now. Like a few months ago, I actually like had a heart-to-heart with them, and I was just like, yo, I'm kind of going through it, and I would not mind like seeking some kind of professional help. And they were like, hey, if that's what's going to make you feel better or get you to where you want to be, then by all means, like, we're supportive.
Yeah, I think I remember you actually telling me that. For whatever reason, I do remember that story where you said like you just opened up to him like, hey man, I have a lot going on. So you said you would go now. Oh
yeah, I'm definitely considering like going, but it's one of those things where like I don't know where to start.
Seeking it is I guess is the first step, as silly as that sounds. I've been going since September of 2020, and I initially went because I was about to be a married man, and as I went to therapy, it was more so of dealing like the thought of like me being scared to get married or any like the original plans of going. I haven't even really talked about them yet. I've dealt with everything else going on, and like why I am the way I am, why I tick, why I react to A, B, and C, and it's kind of helped some relationships along the way, and it's made me realize a lot actually. And we talked about this at work, like being very, very aware.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's definitely a good thing to bring to the table when you go to therapy, is just knowing where you stand. Because a lot of people, I would imagine that if you don't have that skill, you're kind of just like running around like maybe this is how I feel. Yeah, maybe this, maybe that. Like, I don't know.
I wasn't open to therapy. Like I wasn't an open book essentially when I first started. And my therapist, she said like, she's like, you've come a long way, because at first I would have to poke and pry and then try to get stuff at you. Now she's like, once we start our sessions, it's like the ball just starts rolling at like 102, and like 2 minutes in is like, the ball just starts rolling, and before you know it, my 45-minute session is up, and I'm like, wait, I need like another, I don't know, 10 hours.
Right.
But it's I think it's very helpful. I don't know how anyone, especially like during COVID, has gone through it without it, if that makes sense.
I think that's what sparked it for me, is just like that isolation. I was just like, holy, I guess things were just kind of just unraveling in front of my eyes, because I had the time, not in front of my eyes, but in my mind, because I had the time to just kind of sit and think with, and like reflect, and that can be great for some people, and it could be hell for others.
But don't you enjoy being like your alone time, let's say, not being alone, but like, like your quiet time, your time away to just decompress, right?
For sure. Some friends of mine would consider me a loner.
Okay.
I guess I consider myself to be like, Felix. I don't know. Yeah.
You're just Felix.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, I know that sounds fucking cheesy or whatever, but it's true. Like you probably don't look at it that way, as if like, I'm being a loner, I'm doing this. I was just doing what I always do.
My thing is that I have a lot of interests, and I like the time to explore those interests. And if that makes me like a loner, I guess that's what it is.
You don't have a problem doing things also by yourself, like a lot of people do.
Oh, no. I loved going to the movie theaters by myself. I love going to music shows. Like that brought me so much joy. But hey, I have a girlfriend now, and that brings me joy too, just being able to share. Just in case you're listening.
And it sounds like she, just from like what we've talked about, she's a big supporter in like everything that you do and everything you think and feel. I think that's a big thing.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think we've met. I mentioned this to you before. Like, the solitude is great until you have a partner that's kind of like your mirror.
Yeah.
Because there's certain actions and like attitudes that you might have that are okay, like, because you're just stewing by yourself. But when you're with someone, they're kind of like showing you like, hey, look, this is how you're acting, this is how I'm receiving it, and then you're like, holy crap, I've just been like on myself
for way too long. Or I get that, man. Before I met my wife, I was always by myself. I did a lot of things by myself, and being single never stopped me from like, going out and like getting drinks with like my friends who were like, dating, being the third, fourth, fifth wheel. And there are moments in that night where you got to be by yourself, you got to be by yourself at some point. But even like, like little mannerisms, faces, I would make, and my wife would be like, what the fuck's that all about? I'm like, oh, it's just second nature when you're by yourself, because you don't have anyone kind of telling you like you can't like do that.
Yeah. Now you have to have a filter.
Yeah.
The filter, it has to be on 11.
Yes.
Before it was like you can say whatever whenever.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a really good point. When I was kind of constructing these episode topics, these two came to your mind. You said I really want to talk about these. Today we're going to be talking about the effects of a 9-to-5 from the mind of an artist, and then our second episode we'll be talking about down the road is how depression and anxiety affects artists differently than non-artists, I would say. And this whole, and I just do keep reiterating, because I don't want anyone who listens, like, this might be the first episode they listen to and they're like, oh, this guy thinks he's a therapist, he's this or that. I'm just an artist who wants to talk about, my mental health state within the artists, within being a working, living artist. So this topic, this 9-to-5, the effects of a 9-to-5 job from the mind of a creative person. is something that I think it needs to be talked about like
Absolutely.
a lot.
Absolutely.
You know, like I mentioned, you and I do work at the same job. You know, I don't really want to talk much about that the job itself. I just want to talk about a 9 to 5 in general. You know, and these are all just opinion based. You know, I just came up with some questions. I just want to like talk about, and you know, in your mind, like, do you think a creative artist can really thrive in a 9 to 5 job?
I think it depends on what's expected of them. So just a quick run through, like my job, it's very deadline heavy. Every day there's a deadline.
And if you go over that deadline, like what happens?
Like if I miss it?
Yeah. Or is there no missing it? Like, I know that sounds silly, but like if you need an extra day, are they accommodating, or is it more like
they are, but like there's a feeling of like I don't know. I very rarely miss deadlines.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm just a star pupil like that. But no, like it's weird because they say that, oh, we'll just move things around, but then you feel guilty as hell because you weren't able to like execute.
I got it. Yeah.
So I mean,
has anyone ever made you feel guilty, or is it just
absolutely
inside? Okay.
Microaggressions up the
up the wazoo. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can curse on here, by the way.
Sick.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. No.
People will be, you know, you said microaggressions up the. I felt like you wanted to be like right up the ass, but you know, but most people are like, can I curse? But yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because I've been able to not really, you know, allow myself for anyone to make me feel bad at my job at my job for like doing stuff, because I really am like, and I can see like you too, we're all really busting our ass, especially within the last few months. Like there are times where like we'll be at work and we'll be able to chill and talk and catch up, and there's times where like we just catch up for 5 minutes in the morning, and it's like, I got to go back to my desk, and I do not see you fucking leave from that desk until like, you know, I'm out at 5. You're probably there a little extra, you know?
Yeah, no, well, before I used to actually stay till after 5, but now it's becoming a thing where like I can't. Like I honestly can't. Like,
yeah.
For multiple reasons. I have to take care of my dog. I have a partner.
Yeah. You have something to come home to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's not like, oh, I can just work myself to the bone.
Come home and just chill.
And yeah, because there's no chill. Like I have to like be someone. Yeah. Either way, 9 to 5s with deadlines are kind of, they're mentally taxing because there's like, it's not like a project based. Like if it was project based, then I think it would be a different story because there is time for ideation. There's a little time to like work the kinks out and stuff like that. But when you're being asked to execute, like, and they always need something yesterday.
Yeah. Like
there's no time for you to kind of like sit and like try to work things out. Everything has to be go, 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 go. So
yeah, I see that with certain things, and you know, I myself, I could sit here and be like a bitch about it, but I mean, like I'm doing the job of at least 2 to 3 people, and I feel like everyone there does the job of 2 to 3 people, and we still have a company of like 70, 60 to 70 people, like all, like including like payroll and all that shit.
Right.
But from the creative standpoint, there's maybe like 30, maybe. So it's tough when everyone's doing multiple jobs, but at the same time, like, do you hire an extra person to do that work? It depends on the work. Like, if you think there needs to be extra people, then you definitely hire them. There's certain departments at our job, it seems like that someone is getting hired like every 4 months in that specific department. Other places, like, it's just, I'm just like, help. Like, it's like that Kevin Hart meme, like, help me.
Yeah, like, for sure.
Help me. Just, I need help, but... for the most part, I've felt like, from my standpoint, things have been more accommodating, but I do get that pressure, man, and the microaggression. It's very much there.
Yeah. And everybody they smile in your face and tell you everything's fine, but Next thing you know, you got a hatchet in your back and you're out the door, and then you're being replaced. So it's kind of.
And what's worse is you feel like the past few months, actually, I've felt like people have felt the need to talk about like, I guess not my work, but like when I get certain things done, and it's like, why not come to me and tell me that? Why do you have to say it in like a meeting or in just a passing? You know, like, and I have some like, you know, like you have some other close friends who are like, hey man, I'm just letting you kind of know like this is what they said. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, you know, like they just come to me and say it, you know, and I don't see that a lot. Personally, I think to answer that question, I think it's tough to be an artist and thrive 9 to 5. I think it's tough. You know, I'm trying my hardest to be, you know, obviously working 9 to 5 and then be an artist on the side. And I think at times, unfortunately, one of them is lacking.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And if not, maybe both, you know, like, but it depends because like recently, you know, I've had a situation at my job where I got, you know, bumped up into a position where I have like full creative control now of the video department. And I've been able to create stuff where it was like literally like it was in my head and I was able to actually execute it on screen. Like that's very rare. And there's not like a lot of butting heads of like what to do. Like when you have the creative control to do that, so it helps out. But then I get home and I'm exhausted and it's like...
You used up all your juices.
Yeah, I used up all my creativity and I was like, yeah, you know what? And I feel like a fucking idiot sometimes because I'll like go to you and be like, oh, I got this idea. I want to write. I want to put you in. And I felt like I've said that a handful of times and I haven't been able to produce because it's just like you're just, you know, you're wearing yourself thin. Dude. And that's what it is, man.
The amount of times and like days that I've wanted to work on like side projects. And there was a time where my workload during the 9 to 5 wasn't as heavy, so I had the luxury of like taking on freelance jobs, and those are a lot more fulfilling than the regular day-to-day like pixel pushing that I do now. So
yeah, you called it that a while ago. I thought that was funny. Yeah, I mean,
that's all it is.
You know, you're different than myself. You know, you're a digital designer. Like I'm video, so like it's just. You know, in both aspects, they're both like, yeah, here's just like the basic stuff you want. And there's times like where it is like just a basic video. I'm like, here. And they're like, oh my God, this is great. I'm like, it could have been a lot. Like, it could have just been better.
If you gave me time.
Yeah. No, if you let me do, if you gave me time and if you want to do that, you know, I remember when I first started out, you know, people were like, oh, you should, you know, use models for your items that you sell and things like that. I was like, yeah, they're never going to go for that. Like, this is like such a old person, like boomer industry. I feel like they're not going to really go for any of that. And then you like look on Instagram of the same, like, you know, business you're in and it's like, well, that's what people are selling or doing. And it's like, man, like, you know, it sucks. But you know, going back, I think it's just tough. You know, I think my writing has lacked and you mentioned before, man, like, you know, you have a dog, you have a partner, you know, all of those things require attention. And how do you divide that up? You know, yeah, you could break it down to like how many hours are in a day, you know, or, you know, like, you know, how many hours a day do you have to really like work on your art if you include, you know, 8 to 10 hours working, you know, in commuting and drive and, like dinner and spending time with your spouse and spending time with it, you know, and then you're like, well, I only have this amount of time to write or this amou't of time to do this.
And you need to relax. You need to relax too. So.
Yeah, that's the thing too. You need a good, you know, I know a lot of people's like they can thrive on 5 hours of sleep. I get anywhere between like 6 and 8 and I'm good. You know, like if I get 5, I'm feeling very like, you know, just out of it.
Dude, I can't do 5. I can't do anything less than 6. Or anything less than 7, honestly. Like, I aim for 8 to 9.
Yeah.
But I never get that. That's not a thing. Not even on weekends. Like, I don't know if...
definitely not on weekends anymore.
Tell me if this happens to you. Like, you go to sleep at a reasonable time, 10, 11...
on the weekends?
Like on a Friday.
On a Friday, yeah. Well, yeah, on Fridays I'm never up late because it's.
Dude, so
I'm older than I'm past 30.
Yeah,
and I'm
with
working
you.
40 hours a week, and
I'm with you. But you get up, like you want to sleep more, like the next day, like on the Saturday. Let's say it's like 9 o'clock, and then you're just guilty. You're like, I should be up because this is my day off.
I used to feel that way. I used to feel that way when I would sleep like until 10:30 or 11, but that hasn't happened in like. In order for me to sleep till 10:30 or 11, I gotta go to bed at like 5.
Damn.
Yeah, I gotta go to bed at 4 or 5. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
So if I go to bed at like 2:30 on the Saturdays I always stay up late. I always stay up till 2:30, and I'm like I start waking up. I'm like, oh, 9:30. I see the clock. Like, you know, when I usually wake up for work, I'm like, hell no. I go back to sleep for like 2 more hours, but I'm just like being super late. You know, I'm being kind of lazy, but. Yeah, it's a luxury if I get to sleep in, you know, and, you know, if I get to sleep in past like 8 o'clock on Saturdays,
right.
You know, and my wife, she loves to sleep, you know, she can do that. You know, I don't think she'll ever feel guilty, like just sleeping all the time. But I mean, there were times where I was like, I'm wasting my day.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, there's times where you definitely need to sleep. Like for me, I just need it.
For sure. I mean, like I was saying, like, so you leave your 9 to 5, you have all your responsibilities after that, your dog, cooking, you got to spend some quality time with your partner.
Yeah.
Then there's your interests, like maybe you wanted to catch a movie or a show that you're trying to like. And then the most important thing for me is like that downtime to kind of just not think about anything. I should probably consider meditation, like try to work that into my schedule. Maybe that'd be alleviate.
Have you meditated before?
I have.
And did it work?
It definitely does, but the thing with meditation is the consistency. Like on days, like on mornings where I can get up early, and actually meditate, I just feel like I'm able to tackle whatever issue comes up.
You know who does meditation classes is Michael Imperioli.
Who?
Christopher from
Sopranos.
Snap. On his on social media, he does that. It's kind of nuts. I saw them talk a few weekends ago. Michael Imperioli and Bobby Bacala, they did a live show. And like, someone asked like, "Oh, which one of the Sopranos would be like against the masks or for the masks?" And Michael Imperioli was like, "I don't want to talk about that shit." He said like, "I loved it, you know," but he's very into like meditation and whatnot. I was like, "That's wild," because you played one of the most unhinged fucking characters of history on TV, you know. So now you're over here like
zenned out,
home, you know that, you know, just you're one with yourself kind of thing.
I'm totally for it though. Like meditation, just taking, I think 10 to 15 minutes just to kind of decompress. Because I grew up a very hyper, like ADD, ADHD type of kid. Like,
do you think you have it now too?
I'm pretty sure it mutated into something else. But yeah, when I was younger, I was
It evolved into something bigger coming this summer. It's like, sound like a fucking movie phone guy or something.
No, but it was one of those things where in class I was so hyper, like, and it wasn't like that annoying hyper, like, oh my god, get this kid out of here.
Yeah, this motherfucker's just on the ceiling like a little fucking like squirrel or some shit. Yeah,
it was just like I was hyper focused on things, and then I would talk a lot, but it wouldn't be like annoying. It came to the point, what I'm trying to say is that the teachers had to sit me in a completely different area. So like you had all the kids sitting in a row, like in their desk, and I was like all the way off to the corner, like by the door. That does
some shit to you when you're a kid.
Oh, I'm sure it does. But always alienated. Like some people said that I was a good kid. Other people said that I was gonna be the next Lucifer in training, some shit. I don't know. But I think it was more so that I just couldn't focus. I had issues focusing.
I had bad ADHD too. I took medicine for it and anxiety. I was really, really bad. And a doctor I was seeing when I was younger just said everything's gonna balance it out. And I always thought, I was joking with my mom. I was like, no, I always thought it was just because I discovered weed and I started smoking it and that balanced me out. But like in all seriousness, it's like just, especially my mom's like with boys, like there was just something, the doctor said there's something in you, like when you know, after puberty or something like that, it just balances you out and it levels you out and your ADHD and anxiety kind of go away. But it went away like in my early 20s because I was enjoying life and there was zero fucking responsibility. But, you know, when you become an adult, I feel like there's different anxieties that kick in, you know, and you have to do everything in your willpower to like take a deep breath. Yeah. And just be like, yeah, you know, it's really not that bad, you know. I know it sounds silly, but like I have to say that, or I'm gonna be like everything's horrible, dude. I know. So the thing is that like I do think that it mutated into like intense anxiety. Like now, I used to love that motherfucking word, mutated. Yo, bro, that's what it feels like though. It's like, but. It now feels... I used to not have anxiety attacks, and now I feel like I get them all the fucking time. Is it when you see prosciutto in the fridge, like Tony? Oh, man. Nah, man, it's just life. It's like when I hear Slack on the weekends on commercials, I'm like, what fuck is doing this to me? Oh, yeah, that's... I hate that shit so much with 1,000 Suns, man. I'll be watching something, and I hear that tick. I'm like, what the fuck? I look at my phone, man. It's like, what is that shit? Like, what would you call that? Post... I guess, yeah, but like it's also, you know, it's like that episode of The Office when every time Dwight heard like a thing on the computer, he just went for a piece of gum, and then like Jim didn't give him the gum, and he's like, all of a sudden, I'm like, isn't my mouth is watering. Pavlov's? Is that Pavlov's dog? Yeah, I think like there was something triggers a reaction. Okay. Yeah. But that's what it does. It's like I look at my phone and Jess is like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, I thought someone slacked me. You're programmed. Yes. Oh, yeah. Been programmed. But, so I'm sorry, I interrupted you. You said that you felt like it mutated into something like more because you never had anxiety. Like, was there a point in time where you felt like you had the anxiety under control or... Well, I think it was just the fuck it factor when I was younger. Yeah. Like, I started really noticing I had anxiety like 27. I'm 33 now. Like around 27 years old, that's when like I started taking life more seriously. I was like, oh man, like it's real out here. Yeah, yeah, we all have that moment where it's like, oh, this is no games. Yeah. My mom helped me out financially, like in college here and there. But like once I graduate college, she's like, "You're cut the fuck off. Like, yeah, you can't be hitting me up because I know what you're getting. I know what you're using the money for. So it's done." And I'm like, "Shit, fuck." Like it is, like you just said, it's real. It is super real out here, and I'm fucked, dude. So I've been kind of listening to, oh man, I'm gonna butcher her name, Mel Robbins, and she has this quote, like she talks about how like no one's coming to save you. Yeah. And that's kind of what that's the vibe recently is just like, I have to parent myself. It's no longer a thing where I'm going to have someone like, hey, just come and help you out. Yeah. Like give me a push towards the right direction. Like it's either I get up and do what I have to do, or I'm going to be on the streets. Yeah, well, I think you know, it's either like adapt and survive, or, you know, like like you just said, unfortunately, like, you know, you hit the streets or even, you know, something worse happens. But I think there's something in most of us that's like, nah, I gotta like, I'll do anything by any means necessary. I'll work at somewhere just to like get a paycheck in, you know. Mm-hmm. What would you think? If you can give me some positives and negatives, or just one or the other, of working at a 9-to-5 as an artist. So right off the bat, like a positive would definitely be the structure. But do you think, like, as stupid as it may sound, do you think artists really thrive off having structure? I think so. Or it depends on the artist. Depends on the outlet for sure. Like if you're painting,
I'm sure even painters have like some kind of outline
Yeah.
that they follow. Yeah. Whether it be like a scheduling, like, oh, from this time to this time, I'm going to do life drawings. From this time to this time, I'll do like watercolor. I don't know. I'm not a painter, but the structure definitely helps. Having some kind of outline, as you call it, just makes it so that you can focus on what has to be done. And I think that a 9 to 5 does do that. But there are a lot of people, a lot of artists or designers who are self-starters, and they have those time management skills so that they're able to create. So I guess it depends, but definitely the negatives are what's expected of you, and just kind of like, I don't know. So graphic design or digital design is like just problem solving, visual problem solving. A client or an employer gives you something that they want to advertise or sell or connect with a certain demographic or a group with, and you have to find the best solution to how to display that, it has to be eye-catching, it has to be extremely legible. Design, I kind of lost my train of thought with that.
You're
Jesus,
good.
I just went full professor. That was like syllabus.
Yeah, that was design 101 right there. Or?
Yeah, but I don't know. The negatives would definitely be just the constant, like, what's being expected of you. In my day to day, I don't have the luxury of an off day. It's like.
And what do you mean by off day? Like, are you talking about like having having a day where you're like, are you about taking off for a day, or are you talking about having like you said, like
my designs don't hit
2 for 13, 0 for 4 from the 3-point line? Okay, that off day. All right.
You don't really have that, because what ends up happening is that you fall behind on work, because you have the next day you have deadlines, more deadlines, so they just kind of stack up. So if for any reason, like, you're just not, your creative juices are not flowing, like you didn't sleep the night before, which can probably take a toll on your creativity. You have to be on, and you have to push through that. So that's definitely the downside. And that leads you to burnout, which is another negative of being a creative in a 9 to 5, is just that burnout. I felt it many times. The holidays is probably like, that's burnout season, because there's more creative that has to be pumped out.
I want to say like around after Halloween is like,
that's
like
when it starts to hit.
Go to burnout session, and you're just burned out until,
ever.
I guess ever. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. I haven't really noticed. Your department, just everyone just seems really busy. Yeah, and it's just kind of like, what the fuck's going on? And is there kind of like a let up in sight? Like, it seems like for video, like we have, obviously the end of the year. January is very slow, but then like spring is like right here, I feel like. Mm-hmm. And that's when festivals and other things start happening, where, events where you have to travel, and it's like, okay, then, the summer picks up, and then like the fall is kind of slow, and then the winter, there's just that ebb and flow right there.
Yeah.
But no, I totally agree with you about the negatives, being burnt out, and just having, not being underappreciated, but just, like these deadlines, you can't afford to have an off day, and it is tough, because I feel like some people who, most artists I know, they're not like, their 9 to 5 is not like an accountant, or, someone who works at a bank, or, things of that nature. It seems like it's always in a creative field.
Right.
And even for the non 9 to 5 jobs, like if you work at a brewery, a restaurant, a pizzeria, those hours are ridiculous, and they're mostly on the weekends.
Yeah.
Which is really tough. It's really tough because that's when for me, I try to create the most art is on the weekends when everyone's free.
Right.
And I'm trying to be positive just in general in life. I don't see too many positives for an artist working 9 to 5 because it's just like I feel like imagine the 40 plus hours I put into my job. If I put that into film, who knows where I would be?
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Way more fulfilling for sure.
It'd be more fulfilling. More opportunity would be there. Just more work, and I think I'd be a little bit more refreshed. A part of me misses like working retail, and because I got some days during the week off, or I only worked 4 to 10 p.m. But that's where, which I agree with you, your positive comes in as structure.
Mm-hmm.
When you work a 4 to 10 p.m., you're most likely to stay up till like 12 or 1. You sleep in, and there's just no structure. Being able to wake up early, yeah, your day is going to be a long day, but I thrive for the days of like, okay, after work, what do I have? Like, we're recording this on a weeknight, and we were able to like, okay, like after work, we're going to do this, and you and I might be, or most likely just fucking tired, but it's just kind of something to look forward to.
I will add that another positive is just the fact that I'm getting paid.
Oh yeah,
I'm paying my bills off of art, which not many people because the whole
say that. No, you're right.
It's the whole starving artist thing. Like I have the luxury and the privilege to pay my bills off of just art, which is that's a great thing right there. That's a win.
I don't think a lot of I don't know. I don't want to speak for anyone that you may know, but I don't think a lot of people think that way. I think they're like, oh my God, like the man's got me. I'm doing X, Y, and Z.
They're draining me.
Yeah, they're draining me. But like, yo, you're getting paid to create.
I mean,
people.
It's important to take a step back every once in a while and just like have some sort of gratitude. Just like really just appreciate the position that you're in, because there's people like waking up at like 2 a.m. to bake bread. Yeah. If you worked at a bakery and it's hot as hell in there.
Yeah. 2 a.m. to like what, 9 a.m. or
I've never worked like there, but I've had friends that worked in bakeries and like delivering.
Yeah. I've known a few people who had to deliver, and they were 3 a.m. had to deliver. And
there's some hard jobs. I mean, before I started designing, you
have a lot of fucking cool jobs before that. Well, hard jobs, but they're interesting ones.
Had hard jobs. Sex job, a sex place.
Literally, yes, literally.
Yeah, and I also worked on a tugboat in Staten Island.
You're like Popeye.
Yeah, something like that. I got the forearms
and shit. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've had some rough jobs, and I have to say that this is the roughest.
That's nuts. That's what's nuts is like you worked on a motherfucking tugboat,
dude,
and you worked with you had dildos around you everywhere, and you're like, this shit is killing me.
Yeah, no, the thing is that just being stuck, like doing the same thing every day.
How does it mentally affect you? Like, if we want to be real for a second, how does it mentally affect you? Like, or have you gotten to the point where you working really hard for it not to mentally affect you?
Oh, like now, how do I feel? I'm fucked. Like I'm not gonna even candy coat it, or like, it's to the point where it bleeds into my normal life. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it a stack.
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
I'm gonna keep it 100% with you. Like, this is currently what I'm going through now. Like I feel like, it's definitely bleeding into my life. Just the work. Like I'm constantly talking about work. People are getting.
We're talking about talking about it. Fuck, which I didn't think about, but yeah, you're right though.
I mean, it's just one of those things where I feel like people look at me and they're like, "Oh God, Felix is coming to talk about work again." Like my family Like I go to my mom's and my dad's house, and like they're like, "Oh God, here he goes." He's like, "Yo, people at work, this."
So even like after
after
5
hours,
o'clock,
yes,
you're just still going ham.
yeah, because that it's to the point where like there's no, I see no, I see no end in sight as far as like my workload. So it's kind of like I'm never leaving the headspace because I know I got to be there tomorrow. I got to do that tomorrow.
That kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Honestly, because there are times where like right before I pass out and I'm like, oh wait, I got to do that tomorrow. And then it wakes my ass up. It's like, come on, it's
Dude,
like
my girl, every time she's like, you're thinking about work, right? Like she knows when I'm thinking about it because my demeanor just changes.
Yeah.
That's an issue.
Does vacation even help you at this point anymore?
I don't think so. I come back, vacation just reminds me how I'm supposed to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
if I could keep it.
Yeah, no, you can. Yeah, no, that's how it's weird. I'm going away on vacation for like 5-6 days, and I'm trying to be positive, like, hey, I get to go out and clear my head, but it's like, man, I'm gonna fucking get to the point where like the last day or two I'm gonna be like, I gotta go back to stuff that makes me kind of like fucking miserable.
Right.
And
then you get the blues.
Sucks. You do get the blues, and you're like, motherfucker, man, like, can't I try to enjoy something, like, but that's just me. I can't seem to enjoy shit, which is another problem of who I am. Honestly, you try to enjoy stuff, and you're just always thinking about, oh, this is what's gonna get done. That's why you try to set I try to set myself up for being successful within like my work tasks. But like it sounds like with you, it's like no matter what you do, there's always going to be so much work. Like it, like you just said, there's no end in sight of your workload.
Yeah.
Like that's not healthy for anyone, like anyone there, it's not healthy at all.
No, for sure. I mean, the biggest thing is, or what I've been trying to do is just make that separation. Now, I feel like I'm kind of like getting a grip on things, and I told myself like after 5 o'clock, I'm not doing any more work, because during the pandemic, that's when I really was feeling it, because like for the first time, like, oh, I'm at home working. Why don't I just work an hour more so that the next day it feels like I have less work? And that helped for a week. And then what started happening is I started procrastinating a lot more, because I knew that I can work till 6, I can work till 7, and then what ended up happening is that I'm working till like 10 because I didn't do it. I didn't do anything all day.
Until 1,
yeah, because I was just dragging out like I can just do this the next day, but I don't know, that quarantine that did me in, boy.
Did a lot of people in.
Oh, I'm sure. It
affected a lot of people. It, I wrote a lot during the beginning of it, but it also, it made me like actually not want to hit anyone up, because
oh, you too?
Everyone seems very happy with just being home now, and I'm not that way. I'm gonna be honest with you. It made me feel like no matter what I ask, whoever I ask, I'm not saying they're going to blame it on it, but like we're in a time now where we can use, obviously, like, oh, I don't feel safe to go out. I'm good. I'm not going to go out, And I wonder at one point, is that going to kind of run dry? Honestly, I don't think it really ever will until like COVID doesn't quote unquote exist.
I still use that excuse, man. It's the best.
I know. And people are not going to ever question you. Like people aren't going to, oh, you don't feel safe? Okay. Yeah. We won't. But like, I think it's affected people mentally with like the news hasn't been helpful at all with a lot of people. But, for me specifically, it's like, everyone seems very happy with being like a shut-in. And there's times where I felt that, like, oh, I don't really feel like going out. This is fine. And, there's been other times where even like my wife just like doesn't want to go out because it's just it's all we know the last 2 years.
Yeah. For sure.
Do you think you can be a full-time artist as well and simultaneously be a full-time employee?
I think it's possible. But again, it just depends on where your mental health is at. And
Like
just
how drained are you going to be, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And just I'm not going to lie. There are like moments in like time where I do feel I'm killing it at work.
Yeah.
And I'm also killing it on the side, like doing any kind of like.
Do you feel like that a lot or not really?
No. Very like it's a delicacy. No, it's rarity.
Yeah. Delicacy. Definitely not. It's tough, man. I'm being super negative about this. I think you have to either be one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm being honest with you.
It's not sustainable. Like if
because think about doing like 30 to 40 hours of your own, of freelance work or of your own work of you putting in, the hours. Like think about all that, like on top of your 9 to 5, like you're going to be drained. The only way someone can do that is if they don't have a life. Like really, like if you think about if they don't have a life, and that means like no spouse, no dog, no friends, no TV really, in my opinion. Like you're just immersing yourself in art and then your job. And it's just really, really tough in my opinion. And some people like thrive off that. But
I find that difficult just because like where do you get new inspiration from?
Me?
I'm just saying like if you're one of those people that can have a full-time job and also create on your own full time, like I know I need some kind of stimuli to kind of like, oh, like this is pretty cool, let me go down this avenue and stuff like that. If you can do that, my hat's off to you, but I'm not that kind of person.
Yeah, what was it? Aziz Ansari, I think when Master of None was on hiatus, he's like, I got some living to do, like I'm kind of young, like I have some living to do so I can film some shit. Like I think season 2 of Master of None was like perfect to me. And after season 2 came out, and then all those allegations of him, like obviously season 3 was just with what's her name, Lena Waithe. I forgot her name, but it was just her. But in between seasons, he's like, I got some kind of living to do the next few years, and then I'll bring you some new like inspiration and film and material. Yeah, and it's so true. It's like I think that's really on point. And and it kind of goes to what you're saying. Like you need to live. You need to experience stuff. I think we all have like a lot of new stuff going on in our lives, both you and I, and hopefully at that point it gets to, within the next few months we get to kind of like create some new stuff. And we have 2 very important women in our lives who support us and are very much about like, hey, go get this and go do this, and if it makes you happy, go do it. Not a lot of people have that, even like with their families and stuff. People don't have that. So final question before we wrap up. What would you suggest or do differently as a 9 to 5 working artist?
Quit. Oh man.
And that's it. I think you got
what would I do differently?
I know it's kind of a very broad question. Like I guess just like your mentality of it, or like would you, on your lunch, like do you take lunch breaks for one?
I don't. I'm the eat and work type of employee. So.
Do you think people who take lunch breaks, a la me, are just fucking lazy, or?
No, man. I think I envy you, honestly.
It sucks that you don't get to give yourself a break, though. Like that really does suck.
I could probably just give myself the break.
But no one does it. Like at our job, I don't see anyone in the lunchroom. Yeah, I really don't. So,
I guess that's one thing I would do differently is just like take more breaks, like just step away from the computer. And
some fresh air.
Yeah, and just not feel guilty about it.
But what about when you're working from home? You don't.
Yeah, it's the same deal. Okay. It's the same deal.
Do you think it changed when you started working from home?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think it changed for a lot of people.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think more breaks. That's one thing I would do differently. Just like you just need that time. That's probably when meditation would come in handy. Just taking those 10 to 15 minutes just to kind of like just break away.
Now on your breaks, would you work on your personal stuff? Would you, like, would you want to do that? Or?
Would I want to? I would. Yeah, I would like to probably do something physical also, just like kind of because I'm just staying stationary the whole time. So maybe like a light treadmill.
I'll never forget that one time you did your makeshift standing desk.
Oh, dude, I got so many weird looks, and especially like from the CEO of the company.
Yeah,
and then
but
a month later, he had a legit stand-up desk, and I was just like, oh, okay.
But like you were very smart with that, in my opinion. But everyone came over.
I got no work done because everybody was like, "Hey, I see you got that."
You got a standing desk. I still remember busting your balls, like walking by, like, "Oh, you got a standing desk." And I got you and our other guy that was at our pod. He was like, "Yeah," he was like, "Dude, I thought you were legit there for a second because everyone's fucking coming by."
I had to take it down, man. I had to.
Everyone's like, "So I see you got a standing desk there." You're like, "Motherfucker, I'm trying to work."
Yeah, it just goes to show you how bored out of their minds these people were, that they just saw one thing out of the norm and they were like, "Hell, I got it." They're like moths going to a light bulb.
That is great. Yeah, like, ooh, how shiny. Like, dude. Fuck, man. And you're like, I'm trying to get work done. Like, I don't know what's your problem.
I see your legs are erect.
Yes. Where'd you put your seat over there? It's man. But yeah, that was really funny. No, I don't know what I would do differently. I would try to just balance it all I would do a better job at balancing like my work stuff. And like I do realize like when I'm in the office, I enjoy being more in the office because I get to interact with a lot of people, and everyone's like that. Like everyone's reacting, everyone's going out for a smoke break, going out for lunch, like it's more of a normal routine as opposed to when you're working from home. Like today I was like, oh, I should probably eat. Yeah. Like really, like you kind of forget that. But when you're at the job, everyone's eating, like, oh, you want to go have you want to go hang out, you want to go do this, and but yeah, I think it's tough, like, for true artists, honestly, to work a 9 to 5 because I don't think artists' minds are built that way. Like, I don't know about you. There's times where, like, my prime writing hours are, like, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. And then you spend all day, like, from 9 to 5, like, just creating at your job. And 5:30 comes around, and you're just like, is it bedtime yet?
Yeah. For sure.
So,
I mean, it's 12 o'clock, and I'm like, is it bedtime yet?
Yeah. It's nuts, man. But I do appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks
Felix Reyes for our first episode. And like I said, you're going to be coming back on in a few episodes down the road, and we're going to be talking about some other probably deeper stuff. Not that 9 to 5 is not deep, but it's more of a how we feel about it. But I do appreciate you coming on, man. And thanks again.
Thanks for having me, man.
Once again, this is Where Is My Mind, a podcast about mental health and the arts. I'm host and producer of the podcast, Christopher Orangeo. All episodes will be available on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Radio Public, and Amazon Music. Once again, this is Chris Orangeo, and thank you for supporting.